All right, you're about to have another very special, intimate experience with this powerful blue diamond who is big in heart. Um, I can tell you right now that one of the blessings of this business is to be able to create resources to be of service to others. And this person embodies that. I want you to really embrace the concept of being a giver and knowing you don't have to have lots of money to be able to give. So I'm going to help you get excited about that idea and listen to this powerful interview with a Blue Diamond, very close friend of mine. Um, I love her to death, and I know you will too. Here it is, Crystal Nyman. Enjoy. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another amazing interview with the Strengths of Diamonds experience. My name is Eddie, and I've got an amazing interview lined up for you, my friends. This is a very wonderful person, one of my favorite people on the planet, and it's really a deep honor to say that we are friends. And I can't wait for you all to get to know her the way that I do. Without any more ado, my friends, my favorite person on the planet, the amazing Blue Diamond, Crystal Nyman. Hello, Crystal.
Hello, Eddie. Thank you so much. That is so nice of you.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you over and over again for doing this. I know that there are so many people that are going to get so much value from listening to you talk about how you do things and how your strengths come into play. So I'm like, for me, this is already a win, and I'm so giddy. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that we have a friendship, and I value our friendship so much. So,
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to it. First thing I want everybody to get an idea of is how did you get personally introduced to strengths, and what has been your experience with it so far?
so I was first introduced to strengths at the leadership retreat that we had, conference that we had a few years ago. And to be honest, I went back to my room that night to take the test, and there was a glitch in the system, probably because everybody was taking their test. And I, I couldn't get through it because of that. And so I didn't go back and take that test for a while. And as everybody was talking about their results, and I was hearing this for a while, I was talking to my account manager one day, and he asked me to send him my strengths, my top 5 strengths. And I said, oh, well, I haven't taken that test yet. And he's like, what? So that was my assignment from him, or a little challenge invitation he gave me. And so I went and completed the test. And after I did, I thought, I don't really know what this means. It's just great. These are some great words, some great paragraphs, some great descriptions that are listed in here. But I didn't really know how to relate it to me, my life, my business. And then, what do you know what? I started to listen to you, Eddie. And how do you not get fired up listening to you about strengths, right? And as I listened to you, I knew that I wanted to work with you closely on my strengths, and really learning and diving into how I can apply this in my life. And so I'm so grateful that you were willing to coach me. And so at that point, then we started to work together. You started to coach me, and that just opened up and expanded my view so much in a way I would have never even guessed.
Right on. Awesome. Do you have any strengths in particular that you've developed a fondness for?
Any strengths in particular that what?
You have that you've like you've kind of developed a love for. I use the word fondness as if we were English.
Oh, a
Like,
fondness.
you have a fondness.
Fondness.
Are there any strengths that you start to like, basically?
Yeah, my top strengths. I don't like my bottom ones.
Yeah.
But I definitely, my number one strength is empathy, and the realization of what empathy means for me and how I can utilize it in conjunction with my number 5, which is developer, was probably the biggest epiphany for me. Because throughout my life, I can I've known that I can feel the feelings of others, but the challenge I've had, instead of stepping into my developer, which is to encourage and see the potential, and to be able to see the small steps that they're making, and praise them through that. Uh, if they're feeling down in the past, I would go down with them, right? I would feel it and go down with them. Now I take that empathy strength and I feel what they're feeling, and I can validate them, but I take that as more as information for me. And then it's now time for me to step into developer and start encouraging and help uplifting, right?
Yeah.
So I really loved those two a lot.
That right there, like if that's all we talk about through our entire time here today, that's going to help a lot of people. Because one of the things I've learned about doTERRA is how it draws in high empathy people, because the oils are so emotional,
Yeah.
and so a lot of them decide, I want to do this as a business. I want to help other people feel good, so that when I'm around them, I can feel them getting better.
Yeah.
That's really
And with that, I think the realization also for me was uh, that our strengths can also be our greatest weaknesses if we don't use them in a healthy way, and with boundaries, healthy boundaries. So again, feeling what other people's feelings are, if I allow myself to go down with that, and I have done that. And I mean, I've been in doTERRA just 11 years now. And there have been times where I might have a team member or team leader or even a customer that's going through something, and I take it home and I feel that. And there's been times I've cried for days or up to a month because of feelings that I was having for someone I cared about on my team. And that's not helpful. That's not helpful for them. It's not helpful for me. It's not helpful for my family. And so to realize that when we can take it from a weakness to a strength, because it is a strength, right? But realizing that for me, it's not about enabling people either. Um, Feeling bad or feeling compassion for people is different than feeling that and then moving into enabling and going, oh, but this, oh, but that, right? It's, in fact, I was talking to a sweet, sweet woman on my team the other day, and she just had a really hard month. And she said that we were talking about this a little bit. And she says, it's one of those times that it's the saying goes, it's okay sometimes to have a nervous breakdown, but it's not okay to unpack and stay there. And that's where it's okay to feel depressed once in a while, but it's not okay to stay there a long time. And it's time to get back up. And so for me, just being able to help encourage people through that time of their struggle, whether it's a customer or a business builder, it's been such a gift to have the knowledge that I have now, knowing how I can utilize that in a healthy and an uplifting way. So
that's awesome. So the feeling I'm getting when you're talking about empathy is that you've had to work to understand it. You had to do self development to get to that point to see empathy that way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's one of the greatest blessings of building a doTERRA business, isn't it? Is that we are literally on a journey of self-growth and progression.
Do you embrace that journey? Just curious. I mean,
Embrace it. That you're just curious. I embrace that journey. I think there are times I have not embraced that journey. I am not one that loves to take road trips, right? And so, I mean, and my legs start to hurt when I sit for too long. So I got that part of it. It starts to be a little bit of a pain, but I am kind of the type of person that loves to just go from here to here. I want to get to the results really fast and or get to my destination quickly. And in reality, sometimes that's just not realistic. And and so I've been learning how to embrace the journey, even if there's pain along the way, and looking at the view in front of me. Like you compare that to a road trip, you've got the windshield that's really big and looking out at the view and moving forward towards my destination. And I've got a small, teeny little bit of a rear view mirror, right? That's important to glance at once in a while. But if I stay focused on that, looking backwards, I'm going to crash. And that definitely is the case. In my lower strengths, I can't remember what's it called. You would know, Eddie. Where if I look at the past too long, if I sit and look at my past, that's when I start to regress. And so it's keeping moving forward and enjoying that journey and embracing the view along the way.
Yeah, the strength you're talking about is context, and
Oh, that's right.
we'll get to that one. We'll definitely get to that one. Okay, well then let's break down your strengths and let's see what's awesome about you. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
I'm
So
going to turn up my volume a little bit.
all right.
Oops.
So now I have your strengths, but I'm assuming you do too. Do you have? Are you in a place where you'd be able to see them, or do I need to pull them up on my side?
I mean, I have my top 6 or 7 memorized.
All right. I'll tell you what. I'll pull it up on my side because you're using your phone right now while we're talking.
Yeah.
So that's so funny because now that I think about it, I don't. Wait, or do I? Give me 1 second. It's okay. Well, I'll edit this part out. Don't worry.
Okay.
I remember. Okay. So I'm actually going through the app, and I can't remember if you shared them through that app or. Wait a minute.
I did share it on the app.
I also have our notes. So bear with me real quick. So there we go. All right. Okay, top 10. They're not here. Really? That's so weird. I don't have your. Oh, I guess I do only have them on the app. Well, neither of us are prepared then. Sorry, give me a sec.
Here, do you want me to send it on my app real quick?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
My Gallup app is not loading.
You know, that's how it was for me earlier today, and I had to like cancel out of clear some of my windows.
There we go.
Share. Yeah, it shows.
CRYS.
Shows that I've. Oh, pending share requests.
There we go. I got it.
You got it?
I got it. Just taking a little.
Is it working?
Just the app is a little slow. I'm so frustrated, even though it's going to space. It's going to outer space, Eddie. Relax. It's coming.
How many do you want to see?
All top 10. And then your
all
bottom.
top 10?
Okay, I got it now. All right, it just took me a little while. Okay, so let's go over your top 10 now. So number 1 is empathy. All right, so while I'm going through these strengths, what I want you to think about is your journey in doTERRA, like the things you've done to build your business. If I was like, Marty McFly and Doc Brown, and we're getting in the DeLorean and we're going back in time and we're watching Crystal Nyman go through the journey of building a doTERRA business up to Blue Diamond, and I'm watching her do the things she does to, invite people into doTERRA to try the oils, to try the business, to come to classes or one-on-ones, to sign up, to get on LRP and all that fun stuff, right? That whole journey. When you're thinking about that journey for yourself, as I'm bringing up these strengths, start like thinking about some of the things you've done when in relation to these strengths. Is that cool? So
Okay.
empathy, obviously we talked about that, feeling the feelings of others. Harmony, right? Harmony, people of high harmony love to find common ground and make sure things are done the right way, or I should say, make sure things are flowing the right way. Restorative is number 3, which is so cool. I think we're going to talk about that one a little bit, because I know that was one that you wanted, to embrace, really, because it was kind of unique to the rest of your strengths.
Yeah.
Connectedness is number 4. Number 5 is developer. Number 6 is belief. Number 7 is ideation. Number 8 is intellection. Cool. That's a really good strength to talk about as well. Number 9 is input. Ooh, and you got all the really fun ones to talk about. And then number 10 is responsibility. Okay. So let's which one of these strengths kind of popped out in your mind? Just curious.
Well, it's interesting because the belief one did for some reason when you did
Okay.
that.
Okay, let's talk about that then. What is belief to you? I'm gonna make some notes up here and let people kind of hear you talk about what is belief for you and how is it showing up in your business?
Well, belief, the way that I understand it is I have some very strong core beliefs that I just, if it's challenged, right? Um, I don't. It doesn't. I don't waver from that,
Yeah,
right? And I can't remember how you put it to me once, but I remember you saying that Emily Wright is strong in belief,
I believe it's her number.
and it's her number one.
I believe it is.
Yeah. So it made me realize when I learned about belief, why and the ways in which I have kind of stood for what is true for me throughout the years, right?
Mhm.
And not wavering from that. So when it has to do with something that is a core belief for me, um, I can't really have anybody else convince me otherwise, I guess, which is where the stubbornness comes from.
Yeah, talk about the
Right?
stubbornness. You know
The
what?
stubbornness.
So let's think about this. Like, there's a certain way. I was interviewing another person who was talking about how belief came into play in her business, and there was certain rules that she kind of made out before she started, or as she started, I should say. Rules that she had said, "I'm never going to break these rules. I'm going to build it this way." Do you remember feeling like that, or even thinking like that before you started?
Um, I set a time frame. I set a rule of I'm going to give this 90 days. And if it's progressing, then I'll keep doing it. And if it's not, then I'm not going to. And and so I definitely love to follow a recipe and then stick to that. And so it's hard for me to veer off of that anywhere. But I don't know if there were any other specific rules, not that I can really think of, but I'm sure that there are.
That's a really good one, though. Like, so in other words, in your core values,
Mm-hmm.
there was a belief that if I focus on building this business, I should see results in 90 days.
Yeah.
So this is where people with high belief love to play the should game,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to start doing this business, and I should see results in 90 days. And so if I don't, then this isn't for me, right? So that's a core value. So I'm going to
Yeah.
do this for 90 days, all in, or whatever your opinion of what doing is.
Yeah.
And then if I don't see results in 90 days, I'm just going to bail. This is not it. I'm going to move on to something else.
Yeah.
So So when we're talking about doTERRA in specific, can you remember what were the things that you committed to doing so that at the end of the 90 days you knew that you gave your effort or your all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, I immediately started to share, but more one-on-one. As I started to research and read the book that had just come out and started to utilize the oils in my own home, for me, and I guess this is probably where belief comes in, when I believe in something I know it works, I feel like it will work and help other people. I have no problem telling people about that. I do this with other business owners, whether it's a massage therapist or a clinic or whatever. If I um, receive services from somebody else and I have a strong belief that it can help somebody else or other people, then I tell people, right? I share that. And so this is where I started one-on-one, initially kind of handing out a little bit of samples and talking to people about it. But Elise Chedevy, who is one of my team leaders, she when I called her and I said, "Hey, I'm going to quit everything else that I'm doing work-wise right now, and I'm going to put all of my effort into building doTERRA, and I'm going to see if this really works." She kind of, I think, somewhat panicked and said, "Okay, whoa, I better really, I better help her." And she said, "Come to my house every day for the next 2 weeks." And it was this time of year, right during the holiday season, because I joined on November 11th.
Hmm.
And she says, I want you to have 3 appointments scheduled for me where we're going to call these people. You've already prepared them for a scheduled call where we do a 3-way call talking to them about the business. And, that was so outside my comfort zone. Sometimes at night, I would be like, I don't have 3 appointments lined up, and I've got to figure out a way to call these people. And so initially, I was kind of working the business, like the promoting the business side of things first. But I knew that I better show up at Elisa's house the next day and at least have some appointments ready, right? Especially if she was going to take that time to help coach me and help me. And so um, I I I started to do that, and during that time, we were able to enroll some business builders, and we were able to connect with some people that also gave referrals that ended up being business builders from the referrals, right? Which is where my connectedness strength comes in, where I see, oh, you connect with this person, and then it goes to here, and then to here, to here, and there's something serendipitous about that, and I love to see that. But I eventually started to share the oils a little more abundantly by holding a class. And Teresa Harding came and taught my first class, and um, that it wasn't until about 2 years later when Elise presented the class in the box idea, the initial class in the box idea. And I went up to her afterwards and said, "Hey, who's going to teach my classes for me?" And she said, "What do you mean? You are." And I was like, "What? I am? What do you mean?" I had relied so heavily on my upline to bring people to classes, right? So here I believed in the product. I believed in the opportunity business wise. My previous background had been in mortgage loans, and I majored in business in college. And so I was really like into numbers. And so, but I've always been into health and wellness. So when I combined doTERRA with the number side and the heart side of things, right? The helping people feel better. I just could see that this is like such a perfect fit for me. And I believed that it could work if I could help enough people.
Okay, that's so good. Everything you're saying, I'm looking at your strengths. I'm going to pull them up again. Is so on the helping people understand this, that for you it's on the relationship side first. It's always on that. So I can see why, like, oh, I got like 2 hours or whatever before I'm about to meet with Lise, I need to get people on the phone. But for you, it's like, but I can't just call people and say, I need to get you on the phone right now. You wouldn't do that. It's like, I need to call them, connect with them, make sure this is something they want, and then make that comfortable. Because the last thing I want to do is put my relationships at risk.
Yes.
Like that's a huge thing. So, and when you're talking about all these things about how you're doing them, rather than say, okay, what did you say, or what did you do, or how did you do it? What I'd like for you to do is focus on restorative for a minute, because I think this would be really cool. So let me just share with everybody where I'm going so you understand, and so you understand where I'm going. So, 4 relationship building strengths, which means it's very important to make sure that you're connecting with the right people. And the right people for you is just about anybody. You're not too particular. Like you're not too picky about who you at least connect with, even if it's not a super deep emotional connection. At least it's a being present with people. And then you've got the secondary executing and strategic thinking, which is to make sure things are done the right way and that you think and create and you learn from this process. So you love the to-dos and you love the understanding why behind everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So putting that all into context of this restorative strength, which is your number three strength, which is very high. And it's like, and look at it. If you look at it, it's kind of cool. I like visuals. So we've got 2 relationship building here and 2 relationship building here. And right smack in the middle is this intense, often often judged as being negative strength, which is restorative. So restorative, people of high restorative have this vision for how things could be or should be in your case, because belief is all about should, how things should be or could be, and then being able to focus on the foundation of that thing that needs to be repaired or improved or fixed or solidified in order for the thing to be restored back to its grand vision, right? To the thing what should be. So that's why they call it restorative. It's like fixing what's broken to bring back to life, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're thinking about that, what are some ways you use that strength during the process of either getting people onto 3-way calls, which I think is one of the coolest ways to build a network marketing business? It really is, and most people don't do it enough in doTERRA. I know that for a fact because it's not talked about enough. But the 3-way calls or the classes or the one-on-ones that you're talking about, how does restorative show up for you? Like if I was a fly on the wall watching you.
This one's going to be interesting. It makes me think about, eventually I created my own brand, which is Blues to Bliss. And that falls right in alignment with restorative.
Blues to bliss. Like that's exactly what restorative is.
Yes. And I had no idea then when I created that, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to play off of, deep blue, which is, you use that because you're in pain. And then bliss, citrus bliss, which brings you to the state of, like, to me, citrus bliss is like an orange dreamsicle. And you just feel so, dreamy when when you get to that state of bliss. So, for me, a lot of times I will talk about that with people, that my goal in meeting with them and educating them is to identify where they're at in their life right now in different areas, to have kind of do a self-assessment of where they're at physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and have them rate on a scale of 1 to 10 where that is for them. And and then pick their top 1 or 2 that is the lowest, and then ask them the question: if we could move that scale up just a couple of points, 1 or 2 points in that area for you, how would that feel for your life? How would your life look different? What kind of changes would that create for your life? And so it's helping them identify what are the pain points, the blues area in their life, and then guiding them and helping them and offer suggestions or recommendations that I have available, resources, I guess you can say, tools that could help them move that needle a little bit, and realizing that they don't have to make huge changes, that it can be simple efforts consistently that would help, like literally would help change their life. And it's interesting as people say, just take sleep, for example. Oh man, I get, maybe I'm at a 3 for sleep right now on a scale of 1 to 10 sleeping wise. Ooh, okay. How does that feel? What does that mean throughout your day? Oh, I lack energy. I don't have focus. I get irritable and ornery, or I can't get things done. I just, whatever. I can't even exercise my body. Okay. If we can move that to a 5, how would that feel? Oh, I could start to feel a little bit more, they start to see the hope and tap into that feeling of what it would be like. And, and I offer something like, serenity or adaptive, a personal experience, validating them that I understand what it feels like. And I'm telling you, after I did X, Y, and Z, this is what it did for me. And let's see what we can. That right there is the restorative, is being able to offer that hope.
Yeah, that's awesome. You basically just gave everybody a step by step on how to introduce them to doTERRA.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm so glad you offered into it is that it wasn't just health issues that you were bringing up. There were also financial issues, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you're like, okay, give me a one. You said 1 to 5.
1 out of 10, 1 to
10.
10 on the
Okay, so
scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10 on these health issues and health concerns and financial issues. And so when people have high financial issues, maybe they're not interested in the business. Who knows? But if they have low on that financial score, then you can bring up the business and say, look, I can help you with that too, because I've got these options. And so if I were to break down your process, is you meet with people and you ask them those questions to get a kind of feel for where they are, the blues, like you said, and then ask them, if we move the needle on that, what would it feel like? And they're just like, is it funny how you're such a salesperson, you don't even know it. You you literally, with that question, you say, what would it feel like if we just dialed this up to like a 7 or 8? And they literally like experience the emotion. Right then and there, they feel what it would feel like if that number was higher.
Which is the key to manifesting, right? The key to creating miracles. Step into that feeling. And I know for me, when Kirk Hamilton approached me about doTERRA, I was so exhausted. I was doing 4 different types of commission jobs at the time. There was no way I wanted to add anything more to my plate. But it was up and down financially. It was one of the worst. It was the lowest point I was at financially in my life. And so that was the greatest pain point. There's a chance I probably wasn't getting a lot of sleep. I was having a lot of high stress. There was probably a lot of other like stuff with the emotional, the mental, the physical that was going on. But the root issue there was the financial piece. And so when he said, hey, just come learn. Are you open to learn about it? And I was like, okay, I'll come learn. Right. And as I did, and I could start to see the potential there, which again, I think that falls into restorative as well, or is that my developer? I don't know.
See the
Which,
potential?
yeah, seeing the potential.
Yeah, I mean, developers definitely in there. Connectedness, seeing the value of the moment. Like this is
Yeah.
happening for a reason.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
wanting to find out what that is.
Mm-hmm.
These are energy driving things. Like I would say that when you were introduced to it, you're like, okay, I'm not sure about this, but I am curious as to why this is being introduced to me right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are mixing in.
Yeah, for sure. And being able to, at least take the opportunity to go learn. And then I had that I was able to expand my mind. So going back to that, my biggest pain point was the financial piece. And that was the part he hit on for me. If he would have sat down and said, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it would have been like for me if he said, hey, do you want me to help you get your sleep a little bit better or something? I'd been like, yeah, that's fine. But the root issue of my stress and my sleep, all this stuff is the financial pain point here. And I think honestly, we could hit more on that financial pain point for people. People don't have to be necessarily completely broke like I was in order to have them be motivated to build a doTERRA business. There are many people that are financially independent and stable that find a strong why in a different way to build a doTERRA business. But still, it's what am I going to do to help that person move forward in their life that sits for them, that creates an emotional response.
So it's almost like it's not about whether or not people have money. It's more about what do they have to go through in order to make money. And what you're asking them to do is consider a different way. Consider a different way of doing it. And one of the things that I already know are in the head of a lot of people that are watching this right now is they'll notice a person is like, well, they're struggling to make money. They're having to work long hours, and they're having to give up a lot of time with family and such. And in many ways, building a doTERRA business in the first couple of years is no different.
Yeah.
Right? It's no different. It's just as aggressive. It's just as intense. But what I love about network marketing, and particularly with doTERRA, is that the goal is not to have to do that forever.
Yeah,
Whereas there might be what the other people are doing might be similar, but is there a promise that they don't have to do it forever? It's like I don't like I see those differences. Having to work in a large corporation, I saw how hard the VIPs work. I'm sorry, the VPs, the vice presidents of the big show. Those people, like I noticed that marriages weren't doing very well. Their health wasn't doing very well. They were very rarely seeing their kids. They just, I'll be honest, they looked like crap. They looked like they were just being held together like by termites, just holding hands. Like, hold on a little longer, you know? So I kind of saw that. I'm like, is that what I want? Do I want to grind out what I'm doing now to grind out what they're doing? You know what I mean? And when we're looking at network marketing, yeah, it's hardcore, it's intense, and we're asking you to learn about you. Whereas most companies they don't care about who you are; they just want you to do the thing. But there's no promise that you have to keep doing that. And I know you have recognized there's a difference between how you build your business as a blue diamond versus like just starting out.
Yeah.
The way you do things is very different. And so you can let people know about that, right? You all sitting there just so peaceful and they're nice.
Because you help me feel that way. I just love getting to talk to you. You made such a difference for me this year. This year of 2020 has been a year of so much growth and clarity. And when we worked together, it just my mind expanded even more and more and more. It was like, oh my gosh, so many things in my life make sense now, right? Not just on my business level, but on a personal level. And that has provided hope for me.
That's awesome. And that's what I want to do for everybody else. And then that's why you're here. I want people to not just hear it from me all the time. You know what I mean? You know what that's like. All right. So restorative, blues to bliss. Like that's like the big picture right there, right? And so let me go back to your process one more time because I loved it and I want to cap it. So it's like asking those questions and asking people to measure where they are in these different areas of their life. And then asking them what it would feel like if we just turned those up a little bit, dialed those up a little bit, and have them experience that. And then you go into a process where you introduce them to what you do, and by telling them how it's helped you. So you give a testimonial. So like right when they're in that, man, this is so cool the way you do this. right when they're in that moment of, man, that feels really good, to imagine what it would feel like to get the thing that I want. And then right in that moment, you share a testimonial of how you were just like them and how you feel now that you've had these opportunities to use these oils and do the business. And then the game becomes, okay, how do I keep you in this space permanently instead of saying, well, good luck to you now, and like you can't just say, well, good luck. You have to, like, at that point now, you have to say, here are the tools and you have to buy them and I will help you apply it. I almost, I almost rhymed there. You have to buy them so that we can apply them.
Yes.
That's kind of cool. So that's basically your process.
Mhm.
Is that,
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and quite often I know that, there's other types of trainings that maybe, talk differently about this, but my the thing that has come naturally for me or worked for me is I tell people, my job is not to sell doTERRA's products. I don't retail them. My job is to educate you on how this can bless your lives, and then educate you on how you can get your own account and how you can maximize your own account and buy them from yourself, like through doTERRA, right? Buy them for yourself through doTERRA on your own account. And then doTERRA just compensates me for everybody I share it with. I'm very upfront, and that's what I've said probably a million times, I swear, but that's what I do. I tell them my job is actually just to, and they always seem to respond good to that. They're like, oh, you're just teaching me. Oh, you're going to help me learn about it. But if I don't take that next step of, well, let me then teach you how you can access them, and how you can get them for the best price, how you can get them below wholesale, how you can get a bunch of free stuff along the way, right? Then I haven't done them any service. It's done no good to educate them on how this can bless their life. So educate here, and doTERRA compensates me. Then they feel better because they go, oh, that you still get rewarded. They always want to make sure if they're buying something that somebody's still getting compensated for it. But I don't have to retail and carry that product. And when it's 3 a.m. and you're up in the middle of the night because you have a child with a fever or throwing up or something's going on, and you remember, oh, I need to order, you don't have to contact me. You can immediately, send that order in, and it can come to you within a few days from doTERRA, So I really am big on making sure they know my job is simply just to educate them and then help them along the process, that I'm available once they get their kit and after that. And oh, by the way, here's how I will help support you now and in the future. Here's how you can tap into my community, get the support, hear from other people that have utilized these. I mean, it just, it moves forward that way.
Yeah, because now that you've said, here's how much it costs and here's why you're buying it, here's extra things that you can get, which is so cool. I love it. All right. I think everybody's got a pretty good idea who you are now. Let's go through the bottom strengths real quick because it'll make sense on why they need to be bottoms. So we got number 30, which I turned off my phone. So give me 1 second. Let me pull it back. So number 30 for Crystal Nyman is discipline. Okay. So as everybody can tell, it's obvious that discipline should be low, because what would shut Crystal down is to tell her she has to plan out every single thing she does every single hour of the day, which is so fascinating because that is exactly how Alicia Edevi operates. Right? I know that from watching all the videos that she's put out. So that's so cool to help people see that, like that you and her work so closely, and this is high for her and obviously very low for you. And you're cool with this, like, oh yeah, I don't have to schedule everything out.
I definitely schedule a few things and then I don't with the rest. That would feel heavy to me.
Okay, so maximizer. People that are high in maximizer are very difficult to impress, you know. And they're also they have a whenever they see something being great, they just want to make it better. This is the opposite of you. Would you say that that's true?
Um, well, yes. Yes. If I see something great, I see it as great.
Yeah. And this whole idea of maximizers who are, you see, maximizers, like a maximizer could really knock it out of the park, or even someone on their team could do something really amazing.
Yeah.
And a maximizers aren't typically, I'm not saying they're never, but they're not typically the ones that go up and say, congratulations, well done, you're amazing, and celebrate. The high maximizers are always about, okay, great job, let's go on to the next one now, because that's just how they operate for themselves. But you're more of an encourager and a congratulator slash cheerleader with your
Yeah.
empathy and developer strength.
Yeah.
And that helps you to congratulate people through every step of their journey. Yes?
Yes. You're right. Correct.
Is
This
it,
is why
do
I
you,
like doing, this is why I like sending gifts.
oh yeah, we got to talk about that. Okay, we're going to talk about that as the next thing, because that's one of my favorite things about you. So, deliberative, overthinking. Why is that so low for you?
Oh, because it keeps me stuck. I it keeps me from taking action.
All right. 33 is context, the past, right? The way that things have always been done.
Yeah.
Obviously, thinking about the past, where is futuristic for you?
I don't remember what number that is
Oh,
for
actually, I
me.
can look it up. I actually know. Oh, it's 15. Okay. And then adaptability is 21. So you're more about where you're going versus where you've been,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Okay, the last one, strategic. What is it like to have strategic at number 34?
I don't know.
So let's talk about this. You're a relationship builder. You're a
Mm-hmm.
connector with people. That means you're connecting with them where they're at. Look at you with your whole like, oh, where are you with this thing? Where are you with this thing? Where are you with this thing? It's like a discovery to find out where they are so that you know how to proceed. And that's pretty much how you operate, right? I got to find out where they are before I decide how I'm going to proceed. A person of high strategic would have it mapped out before.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to be able to tailor things to what people need, obviously, right? Because for me, I don't want to, I mean, I'm sure there's obviously that's a strength, but for me, it's, I don't want to predetermine what that looks like for them. I've got to be able to adapt and make, you know, go with the flow with what their specific needs are at that time, you know?
Yeah. So that's why strategic is so low, because you're so more interested in where people are than where you want them to be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting understanding of that. So if we were to go back to the strengths to close out this conversation on your strengths, which is awesome, you are energized by connecting with the right people, making sure things are done the right way, and ultimately learning and gathering information and so on.
And
Where,
that one's a high for me. That to me, I love to learn, right?
Mhm.
Which helped me to even take a look at the doTERRA opportunity because I was like, okay, I'll learn about it. But it helped me realize also why it's necessary that I have to have my alone time where I kind of can go in. I love being around people and being connecting with people. But and obviously with empathy, I can feel other people's feelings. So sometimes that can um, take a lot of energy for me. And so as I tap into the other strengths there of thinking, creating, learning, I go inward and it may not look like physical action going on, but I'm like going to work mentally and spiritually, creating. and rejuvenating, like recharging my whole entire soul so that I can execute.
Beautiful. That's awesome. See, it's like, so for you, it's a externally going for something so that you can internally decide what your next course of action is. And
Yes.
when we look at discipline, maximizer, deliberative, context, and strategic, most of those things are about, I'm going to start with my needs, and then I'm going to see what I mean? Then I'm going to make sure that others or other things line up with that.
Yes.
Right. So
Mhm.
this is why these strengths need to be low, and because they give you the freedom to be you, right? And to get things you want your way. So that's beautiful. Okay, my
Yeah.
friend. So let's talk about one way you like to build a business that is, let's like forget about duplication for a second. All right. Because maybe this is not duplicatable, but maybe. But the concept I think is. I have to ask you about this, but then you can bring up another one. Okay. Your ability to give gifts, like, is like, you're by far one of the best gift givers I've ever met. And you inspire me to want to be good at that. And now that I've learned that from you on how to give gifts, which we're going to talk about you're going to talk about in a minute. But now that I've learned like how to do it my way, I get why you're so good at it, because it's like a drug. It is like a drug to take time out of your day to think about somebody, anybody. It doesn't have to be your closest friend or your wife or your husband or whatever. It doesn't have to be someone super tight. It could just be someone who you know. And just go out and think of them for a moment. Think about what they would want and send it to them. Look at you smiling.
Yeah.
So this is one way you've built your business. So here's what I'm asking you. Talk about your philosophy on gift giving. And then if you want to talk about another way you've built a business that, without regard for whether or not it's duplicatable, let's talk about that too. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, so start with gift giving because I want people to hear this.
Okay. You know what, as you were talking about that, what came to my mind, I think where my first memory of starting with this, and actually, I'll tell you one other thing, but I was 10 years old and my Sundays were a holy day for us, right? And growing up, and my mom didn't let us do a lot of different things we would typically do the rest of the days of the week, which is fine. She was teaching us about having that be a holy day. And so, but what we could do, what she did was she, instead of looking at the restrictions, she helped us see what we could do. And I remember one time saying, Mom, I want to bake a cake and take it to the neighbor. And she was like, okay. And so I made this cake and I stacked it up, and I still think, oh, I adore cake makers that can just, the decorators that are just so talented at this. But I frosted it, I remember, with chocolate frosting, because that's, of course, my favorite. And I just made it look as good as I could as a 10-year-old. And I just randomly went across the street to our neighbor's house. I don't remember having necessarily a close relationship with them, but I just showed up at their door and said, hey, I wanted to bring you a cake. And and so, yeah, that memory popped up in my head. But it's interesting because, my mom passed away 3 years ago and she left all these journals. And because I'm the oldest girl, I kind of ended up kind of in charge of these journals. And as I was reading in one of her journals a few months ago, she shared a moment when it was her birthday, and she had been at a meeting and been busy all day and came home. And she says, my younger brother, who's 2 years younger than me, Mike, was sad that he hadn't given her gifts, didn't have anything to give her for her birthday. And she mentioned in there, here I was, age 4, little Crystal decided to help her brother figure out some gifts that she could that he could give to mom. And I helped him wrap them up, apparently. And there were old nylons from my grandmother and some these little like trinket type stuff, these different things. And I helped my younger brother put together these gifts. And she says he was so excited when to give them to her. And she, of course, showed all this excitement when he gave them to her and said, "Oh, these are so wonderful." And he said, "Oh, I love you, Mom. And when it's my birthday, you will give me gifts too, huh?" And I thought, oh my gosh, it is so funny to get to see. I had no idea that that was something, a part of me from a very young age. And to be able to give gifts and then to help other people feel the joy that comes in giving. And those gifts can look different, there's a variety of ways that gifts can show up. But this is something that I have said before. You take this away from me where I don't have the ability to give gifts, I might as well die. It would kill me, you know? So I very much, you're right. It's probably my drug where I'll randomly, if I am thinking about someone or I'm looking at my team, or I know something that's going on personally with someone that they're struggling with. My assistant is so great at helping me with this, and she finds so much joy in it. And she has a certain part in it. Good thing she does, because it might not get out in the mail if she didn't do that part. But the two of us together get to come together, and we get to create and formulate the gifts that we want to send to these people, and the joy that comes back just in the gratitude is is just so amazing, to know that somebody can report back and say, you know what, this just made my day, or I totally needed this, or this was thoughtful, it meant a lot to me. That to me is just, it brings me so much joy in my life.
Hold on. That's awesome. I hope we're inspiring people with that. I did this thing. Like I said, you have to know you've inspired this in me. I did this thing where I went to Target. Like it was like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. I can't remember how long ago. I was at Target with my wife on our date night, and I was just there. We were in the section of Target that has like the kind of silly gifts that you would never buy for yourself, but if
Yeah.
somebody bought it for you, you would totally use it. And I'm just kind of going through all these things, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live on Facebook right now, and I'm going to ask somebody who would use these, and I'm going to buy one for any random person on Facebook.
Oh.
And I had so much fun doing it. I ended up buying 5 things, and I picked 5 random people that commented on the video, and I just got their address and I just shipped it to them. But they were like, some of them were silly things, and some of them were really kind of fun things. One of them was like an iPhone mount with a light on it so that
Oh.
they can do videos, right? Like one was that, and the other one was like cat butt magnets. It was like magnets of that were made from that were like plastic cat butts. Okay, so like basically you stick on the refrigerator and it looks like cats are inside the refrigerator and their butts are hanging out. You know what I mean? Like just silly
Oh.
things like that. The other one was like a button that just said no constantly, like different ways. So when you press the button, it says no different ways. So you can like if you have your kids come in and ask you for something, you can hit the button and it'll say no in a different way. Whatever. There was these
Yes.
goofy little presents, and to give
Yes.
away these silly things, the way these people lit up when I give them those gifts, like maybe go, I'm going to Target every day, and I'm going to do this every day. This is so fun, and I never cared about. I didn't worry about how much it was going to cost because I felt like the value I was getting in return was gargantuanly larger. It's amazing how even a $15 or even a $10 gift, when it's done in a personal way, can really make a huge difference in another person's life, which brings massive value into yours. And
Yeah.
so when we're looking at it from a business standpoint, when we take out of the emotion, of course it's going to affect your unit level. It's going to affect your volume, your fast starts, your check every month. Of course it's going to affect those things. And that's the beauty of it is that you don't have to, you can create those results without focusing on them
Yeah.
just by focusing on what brings you joy. Like imagine baking a cake every day and bringing it to a neighbor, and that puts money in your bank account,
Yeah.
right? Like come Come on, like that's the secret.
Yeah. To me, I was thinking, one of my most favorite books is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. That when I read the phrase of that first, I was like, that sounds manipulative. But I realized later how different that message was. The thing that stood out, one of the main things that stood out for me in that book was everybody wears this invisible sign around their neck that says, I want to feel important. And, that's why you could jump on Facebook Live and do these random things and then for them to win. Or, I mean, how many times have I had people say, oh my gosh, I don't ever win things. Just to have that feeling, right? Everyone wants to feel like a winner. Everyone wants to feel like they're loved. Everyone wants to feel like they're thought of, that they're important. And so, that the thing I would reiterate is you don't have to make a lot of money to do this either. Because I'll have people say, oh, I can't wait till I make more money and then I can give more. We actually don't have to wait. I didn't have a lot of money at one point in my life where I still found little ways to give because it was important, and I wanted to bless people through that.
Yeah. So that's a good challenge for people to not look at it whether or not you can afford it. I mean, you
Yeah.
can afford it. You've got something that other people could benefit from.
Yeah.
Just give.
Something that's turned out from this. When you talk about those small little things that you normally would buy for yourself, but when someone sends them to you, my assistant last year sent me a cheer box. And in it, I opened it up and it had a box of everything was yellow. It was all about being bright and cheery and happy, right? I was going through a little bit of a hard time. And, it had a little stress ball that had a little yellow with smiley face, little emoji face on it. It had Band-Aids in there, right, to help me that were yellow Band-Aids. It had these happy balloons that were all yellow. There was all these different things that in conjunction together and the message together just was amazing, right? And so we kind of have expanded on that in the last year. And she's developed what she calls XOXO boxes. And so I'm so grateful because I can say, hey, Jess, I need an XOXO box for this person. And we've got it to kind of dial in. And she's found those little things that kind of come together. And then we add an essential oil with it. So the yellow boxes have cheer touch in them. Or we'll do a yellow box of making lemonade out of lemons and put lemon oil in them. And we've got a tickled pink box that they can order. And we put either pink pepper or wintergreen, or sometimes I've even done rose in there. We do the pink oils. And then the blue box, which is, hey, I heard you're feeling a little blue, just wanted to help uplift you, or, and give them some deep blue or some peppermint beadlets. Or I've also utilized that as, hey, I just wanted to say thank you out of the blue. And so she's formulated these boxes and we have so much fun with that. I told her, I said, if we could just do this all the time, this is probably what I would do with my life, But anyway, these are, I told her I'm going to start sharing that with other doTERRA wellness advocates so they can buy these, just order these boxes already done for them so they can just send them to whoever they want. So That's coming soon.
Oh man, for those of you that are watching this right now on the Strengths of Diamonds experience, I'm gonna do my best to make sure you are the first to hear how to get access to that from a professional, like next level expert gift giver. That was going to be huge, and I would be on board on that in a moment. Like, so whatever I can do to help you make those happen, that's got to happen, Crystal. All right, I think it's time now to wrap up. Last question. Okay. Now that we've talked about what's wonderful about you and we've really celebrated that, and I know you felt like that. This is a celebration of what's wonderful about you. If you were to, without telling the story, to go back and think in your mind to a time when you weren't feeling like who you were was enough, or maybe you were feeling like who you were was too much, maybe during your doTERRA business journey, or maybe during some other area of your life. But without telling the story, if you can have a direct communication with that Crystal who's having a moment, who's struggling in that moment, what would you say to her now that you know what your strengths are?
Oh, that's such a great question.
Just the advice. What would you say?
Yeah, such a great question. Hmm. First of all, I would let her know that she's loved, first and foremost. And I would I would tell her um, I would tell her what's great about her. I would tell her that she's unique and how she's able to relate with other people and in her ability to love people um, in a deep way very quickly, that she can relate to others because of the experiences, the hard things that she's been through. She can um, be able to empathize with those others who are going through hard times, and that as a result of that, as a result of the going through the challenges and then overcoming them, that she can give hope to people, that she'll be able to help them move forward in their life in a way that will bless them forever. And um, I don't know. That's probably what I would say.
That would be, see, what's awesome. The reason why I asked that question is because that's exactly what I would say to people. That's exactly what all those that are watching this should be taking on, that advice. That is a universal truth and advice. So thank you for sharing that. That's really good.
You're welcome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Blue Diamond, Crystal Nyman. Woo! That was awesome. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Debbie. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you so much for believing in me.
Oh, wow. All right, everybody. For those of you that are watching this, make sure your notebook is filled with great stuff, great knowledge, great information, and of course, a great feeling in knowing that you can do this your way. So, Crystal, thank you all. I mean, thank you. Like from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a part of this and helping.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, my friend. Have a great
It was
day.
an honor. Such an honor.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the next interview. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Hey.